Good evening to one hour present here. I am Priyanka Bhardwaj and I've done my master's in plant pathology and now I'm pursuing my Ph.D. in plant pathology. Well, about apiculture, I've worked with honeybees for almost 1.5 years and now I'm here to share my experience and we'll learn many new things here. All right, so starting with the apiculture, first of all, I would like to tell you what is apiculture. Basically, apiculture is a science where we cultivate the honeybees, where we rear the honeybees, and where we maintain the colonies of the honeybees. Now, as we all know that honeybees, they provide us with the honey. Apart from the honey, there are many things which honeybees provide us, such as bee venom, bee wax, royal jelly, propolis, pollen. Honeybees, they are major pollinators. If there would be no honeybees, there would be no cross-pollinated crops. Talking about the major bee products, it's not about the honey only. Because as you all know that honey has many health benefits. Now, when we talk about the bee venom, it is one of the most important thing which is used in the injections for arthritis today, as they all say that when a honey bee stings you, if it stings you for once, it is all fine. Why? Because the venom, it constitutes many major acids which help in the immunity of the body. But what if many more number of the honeybees, they come and sting you? That is really harmful. But otherwise, if a limited number of bee or one bee stings you, that is very good for your health. That is very good for arthritis. Now, when we talk about the bee wax is a major product of honeybee, which is something like, that we use as chewing gum. Then, when we talk about the royal jelly is basically food which is given to the colony, to the honeybee, to the queen, to the workers. Next is propolis. Propolis is basically gum-like substance which is used to stick the frames together. Next is pollen. As you all know that pollen is a major thing which is used in the pollination. So honeybees, they are the major source, they are the major vectors for this pollination purpose. Now, talking about the honeybee species, there are many species of the honeybees, but when we talk about India, there are majorly rock bee, little bee, Indian bee. So this, if we talk in terms of scientific language, then we have Apicerana, Apis mellifera, Apis dorsata. This mellifera is the major bee which is used in the cultivation. When we talk about Apis dorsata, it is very big in size and it is generally wild. It is not reared in the boxes. When we talk about the Apicerana is somewhat like Apis mellifera, but it is smaller in size than Apis mellifera. And it is also reared in boxes or it is also cultivated in the beehives. Now, Apis dorsata is wild, so we are living it. Means we cannot cultivate it or we cannot keep it in the boxes. But when we talk about Apis cerana and Apis mellifera, and if I ask you which one is the better way, whether it is Apis cerana or it is Apis mellifera, then the Apis mellifera, it is a better way. Why? Because it has more of the honey production, plus it is very gentle bee. It does not sting, frequently. It is very gentle. Also, it is less prone to swarming. What is swarming? We'll discuss later. So, Apis mellifera is a better bee. So, do you know what are the family members of a colony? Well, when we talk about a box where these bees are kept, then there is a whole family. You can call it a family. There in this colony, there are workers, there is drone, and there is a queen. When we talk about this queen, there is only one queen per hive. There's only one, right? Drones are few hundreds in number, and workers are thousands in number. When we talk about the sting, we say that honeybee has stung us. The sting is present in worker and queen, but the queen doesn't sting people. Only workers sting. That too is for the defense purpose. When we talk about drone are commonly called dikhattu in Hindi, right? Because they have no, specific function in the colony except in the reproduction. When we talk about the queen lays almost 1500 to 2000 eggs per day. A healthy queen usually lays this number of the eggs. And a healthy queen, it can survive from 2 to 8 years. How will you identify what is a queen, which one is the queen, which one is the drone, which one is the worker? Well, when we talk about the queen, it is the longest individual in the colony, and it will be only one per hive. As you can see this is so long. The abdomen is so long that the wings, they reach only half portion of the abdomen, right? When you look at the drone, it is somewhat thick, right? And it does not possess any kind of sting. Next is worker. Worker is almost the size of the drone, but the width of the body is less and the wings are touching the abdomen, right? This is the sting we were talking about. You should be clear about this thing, that bees do not bite, they sting. Why? Because bite means when they are doing something with their mouth. Actually, when they sting you, they are doing it with the help of ovipositor. Sting is the modification of the ovipositor. Now, we were talking about the bee venom, right? So bee venom these days is a very commercial product and very beneficial product. It contains many acids such as histamine or hydrochloric acid or formic acid, etc., and many other important compounds. So this is basically commercially obtained by the electric shock, right? So this venom is used for the medical purpose and medicinal purpose. Now, here in this colony, you can see this individual is looking different from other members of the colony, right? You can see that wings are reaching only half portion of the abdomen. So this is basically your queen, and rest of the members are the workers. So workers, they are very important part of the hive, because all the field work, whether it is about collecting the nectar from the flowers, bees, they collect only nectar and then they convert it into the honey, right? So without the worker bees, the whole colony would go hungry, because they are doing all the essential works, whether it is all about cleaning the hive, whether it is about taking care of the kids. The queen is the mother of the whole colony, but without the motherly instinct. Why? Because workers are doing everything for the colony. They are feeding the children, or you can call it the younger worker bees. They are doing every work of the colony. Queen, the only function of the queen is to lay eggs, right? And the whole colony is dependent upon the worker bees only. Now, you can see here, some people are checking the bee colonies. So we were talking about the hive or the bee boxes. This is the bee box, right? This is the top portion, this is the bottom portion, and inside this, there are certain frames kept, right? Whenever you check the colony, it is not like you are going, with a huge amount of fragrance or perfume. Always remember, whenever you're going to check a colony, don't use perfume. Why? Because when bees sense the perfume, they think it as a different smell. So they may sting you. Why? Because they'll think that there is something, enemy over there, and they will definitely do their defense, right? That's why they say that whenever you're going to check a colony or visit an apiary is a place where these all bee boxes are kept. These beehives are kept. So there you have to go in a very, subtle way. Don't wear bright colors. Always wear white color, right? And whenever you go over there, you have to wear the full clothes, covering your, arms, your legs, and your head also. for the protection of your head, the bee workers, they always use the bee veil. This is for the protection, right? So they have a proper equipment or proper costume. Also, while we handle the bee colonies, we have the proper equipment such as knife and smoker also. So this is the colony which is maintained by us. It is not like once you have capped a box and the responsibility is over. It is not so. You have to work, you have to take care of them because they are the living individuals. So how will you take care of them? There are different management practices which are to be followed, such as in the summer season, there are different practices. In the winter season, there are different practices, such as, let's take your example, right? Whenever there is a summer season, what you do, you try to have ventilation, you try to go in a shade, right? Whenever there is winter season, what you do your packing, you wear more and more clothes. Similarly, in the case of honeybees, how will you take care of them? The very first thing is, whenever there is summer season, you have to take the boxes to the shade. There must be a shade, there must be well ventilated area. Second, you might have seen that there are the ants. Ants are very important, enemies of the honeybees. So what can be done? The legs of the beehive, they are kept in a container which is having the water so that the ants do not climb up to the boxes and irritate the honeybees. The very first thing which is to be done is the stand and the legs of this hive is kept in the container where water is present for the ants. Next, you can see here that this is the entrance of the honeybees. So sometimes what happens is when this entrance is too large or too broad, then any of the other enemy can enter this entrance, right? So what do we have to do is we have to close this entrance so that only the required number of honeybee can move in and out so that no other enemy may come there. As you know that many other bees, they also come and steal the honey or rob the honey from these boxes. So to prevent that, you have to basically reduce the entrance. You can see that this person is checking the frame. So this is the cover of the frame. This is me and I'm working with the honeybees. Now, when the winter season has begun, then what do we have to do is, let's suppose there are certain frames, right? What we do is we keep an additional frame here. So after that, we take, kind of sawdust, which can give packaging to these bees. And then we fill this box with the sawdust or wheat straw or whatever is available, which can, give warmth to our honeybees. Right? So we fill this box and then we cover this box with the board. If you don't have sawdust, you can use the other kind of grass or straw to give the packaging, right? After that, when packaging is done properly, we'll cover the box, right? Now, winter season has begun. Let's suppose there is a season when you eat a certain vegetable, right? And that vegetable is not available. What you can do is, the first thing that you can do is find any alternate substitute for that. If that's not available, you can have that in the frozen form, right? But in case of honeybees, they are dependent on the flowers only. So what do we have to do is, the flowers on which these bees feed is known as bee flora. So these are different flowers which are the favorites of honeybees, or you can say that many of the flowers such as sarso, which is used by the honeybees, right? So what do we have to do is, in case of drought period, when no flora is available, then we have to artificially provide the feed. How will you provide the feed artificially is, we can give the artificially, sugar solution. We can, take a frame and spread the sugar solution into that particular frame, and then we can provide it to the honeybees. right? The very first thing you can do is this. Second thing is you can give the pollen supplements to the honeybees in case when flora is not available, so that your honeybees do not go hungry, right? So let's suppose that in one area, some kind of flowering is not available. What will you do? You'll move the boxes to some another area where flowering is present, which is known as honeybee migration. So migration is very common practice, which is followed by the commercial beekeepers, so that the flora is available throughout the year and you get a very good quality honey. So that is very important thing. Second thing you can see here is this is a picture of swarming. So what is swarming? Basically, a queen bee takes the other bees, almost 90% of the bees, and goes out of the hive. And they form their own home on some trees or somewhere else, right? This process is known as swarming. So whenever the swarming occurs, the most common reasons are presence of the old queen. When there is old queen, so we can provide the box with the new queen, right? Second thing is whenever the swarming occurs, that is due to lack of ventilation, or when there is a honey flow season, so we can provide, we can divide the colonies so that there is no lack of ventilation, there is proper ventilation. Next is unripened honey in the comb. So we are talking about honey flow and we're talking about honey. You can see this is the unripened honey. Whenever you see this kind of honey, this is not ripe. Whenever the honey is ripe, there is white layer all over the frames. So this is the indication that honey has ripened and the honey flow season has just begun. And usually this season starts during the spring season, generally during the March, April. Next is the processing and storage of the honey. So honeybees, they first collect the nectar, right? And after that, when they collect the nectar, they usually store it in the honey stomach. And then they regurgitate that basically nectar, and they spread this nectar on the honey cells. And when certain days are passed, they fan their wings so that the moisture is evaporated. And after that, they do the capping. Capping means this thing, the white layer or covering of the cells occur after the honey ripens. Now, whenever we talk about the extraction of honey, we have this centrifugation machine, which is basically based on the centrifuge principle. And this is most hygienic thing that you can do to extract the honey. So this is basically honey extractor, which is used to extract the honey, right? Now, this was just to show you the basic things. Now, I would like to discuss more of the things with you. When we talk about the honey extraction, right, what precautions do we need to follow over there? First, I told you that you need to be very cautious while visiting the apiary. Do not use perfumes, use white clothes, use light colored clothes, right? Second, do not disturb the honeybees again and again. Suppose you are checking the boxes, it's okay to check boxes twice or thrice in a week. Do not, regularly check the boxes twice or thrice in a day. So the honeybees will be disturbed and they'll swarm, right? Second thing is, whenever the honey flow season begins, always remember you have to check your colonies. Whether there is, a lot of crowd over there, then you have to divide the colonies. Suppose I said that queen lays the eggs, right? So you want to extract the honeys. If the queen lays the eggs, the honey will also contain the egg, larvae, and pupal stages of the honeybees. So in case I want to avoid all these stages, what I have to do is I have to provide a super. Super is a box which is kept above the original box, and one honey excluder is placed over there. Queen excluder is placed over there. What is queen excluder? Basically, it stops the movement of the queen from the lower box to the upper chamber. Queen is larger in size, so it will not be able to move to the upper chamber, and after that it will not be able to lay eggs over there. But workers, they are smaller in size than queen, so they can not lay the eggs over there, right? So when you'll take the upper chamber, you'll only get those frames which will contain only good honey, or which will contain only the honey which is, you know, totally pure. It will not contain, I mean, any kind of egg stages, larval stages, or pupal stages, right? So these are the ways you can maintain your colony. In case of summer, you can provide them with water, you can provide them with shade, with the ventilation. In case of winter, you can provide them with the winter packaging to keep them warm. Plus, you have to take care of the enemies. Suppose some kind of wasp, they are coming over there. How will you manage them? First thing is, you cannot say that we are going to use the insecticides or pesticides, because they will be harmfully, equally harmful to your honeybees. So what will you do? There are certain things which can be done. The very first, very common practice which is followed is that whenever the nest of these wasps are around your bee apiary, you have to destroy or burn those nests. Very first thing. Second thing, in case wasps are coming, use the flaps. We use the flaps for the house flies also. No, we can use the same flaps for the wasps to kill them, right? This is very important thing in case of honeybees, because wasps are very, very important enemies of the honeybees. Also, you have to take care of the hygiene of the box. You have to take care if there is certain, presence of certain other pupa, or presence of certain other wax moth or other enemies. So you have to be very cautious about that thing. Second, whenever you are keeping a apiary in a place, of course you'll keep it where certain important crops are present around. So you have to ask the locality or the people whether they are going to spray any pesticide or not. In case they are going to spray any pesticide, you have to be very precautious, and you have to move your colonies, because in case honeybees feed on those crops, they'll die because of the pesticides, right? So you have to be very careful about these bees, because they are living organisms, they are living creatures, right? Without honeybees, 70% of the cross-pollinated crops, not even 70%, 90% of the cross-pollinated crops, they will not be able to survive, because they are very important, they are very major pollinators, right? So this lecture is open for the discussion. If you want to ask any of the questions or any of the query, you may ask, and I'll try to, solve your queries and to answer all your questions. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Ms. Priyanka Bhardwaj, for an excellent
Thank you.
presentation. I will take up the
Thank you.
questions from the participants. In the meantime, can you please stop sharing the screen?
Yeah,
So that-
sure, definitely. Of course.
Okay, I'll move on to the questions. The first question is, in India, which are the regions with the best honey farming?
Okay. Well, when we are talking about this bee cultivation or apiculture cultivation, many of the regions, they are adopting this practice. You can found the south regions or the central regions or the north regions. They are, using different cultivation practices. So everywhere this honey bee production is the honey production is going on, and it is not about, whenever we talk about the best quality honey, what is the major reason for that best quality honey? It is because of the availability of different kinds of flora. The areas where different kind of floras are available, the areas where proper migration is done, only there this basically best quality or best honey production is available. Next question, please.
Yeah, I'll move on to the next question. What are some reasons why honeybee farming projects fail?
Okay, so very first thing is the basically the site selection. Suppose I am using a site, I have decided that I'm gonna do this honey product, basically bee farming, and I have decided that I'm gonna use this site only. I'm not sure about the location. whether that is sunny or not, because the very first thing is sunny location is very, very much required for this honey production, or basically for the honeybees, for their movement or for their active participation, right? So you always need a sunny location. The very first thing is that if you do not have this proper site selection, then this project will definitely fail, right? Second thing is lack of knowledge. You don't know about what kind of flora should be available, and you don't know about the crops of the locality, that which crops you should go for, or what kind of practices you are going to do. That is very important. Third, there is a use of new queens in the hive. Sometimes what happens is, when there is a queen, suppose it gets old, so there will be less production of the eggs, and the queen will get old. So the bees workers, they also know that the queen is getting old, so they start forming the new queen cells. So you have to be very aware, if new queen cells are forming, then you have to basically provide the boxes with a new queen. So you should have the technical knowledge, and basically the knowledge will come from your experience only, right? From your experience, from gaining the experience from the others. So the third thing is basically the lack of knowledge, or basically the third important thing is the lack of the basic management practices, as different practices are required. In case of summer season, different practices are required. In case of winter season, as I told you about packaging, so that is a kind of different practice. In case of even migration, you have to follow certain practices, such as if you are migrating the boxes to a short distance, right? So you have to be very careful, because they know the locality, honeybees know the locality. So you have to move them in case of only night, not in the case of day. You have to cover the boxes, you have to cover the entrance, and then you have to basically use a nail to hold the frame, so that they do not move from here to there. So there are basically the lack of the knowledge, the lack of the management practices, and the basic starting. You should know that where the location should be and what I have to do. You should know that year around what do I have to do, where I have to migrate them, and how I have to deal in case of swarming happens. Suppose your honeybees have swarmed, right? And you want to catch a swarm. How will you catch the whole swarm? The very first tactic you should know is, if queen is present over there, just take the queen inside a net, and the whole colony will follow that queen, because the queen contains basically the hormones, right? Second thing is, if you want to catch a swarm, always remember that this queen has tendency to run away. So you have to replace the queen over there. So you have basic knowledge of all these little details over there. Thanks so much. Next query, please.
Yeah. The next question is from one of our member, Mr. Denson Matthews. He's asking, is honeybee farming scalable? Only by selling honey can farm be profitable? I will read out the
Ma'am, will you
question.
please repeat?
Yeah, I will
Yeah,
repeat the
sure.
question. Is honeybee farm scalable? Only by selling honey can farm be profitable?
Basically, see, it is not about the honey only. As I told you about many honeybee products, so it is not only about honey. Of course, honey is giving you benefit, because you know the price of honey these days, right? Honey do give us benefits, but there are other things also, such as basically any farmer, if he's doing honey, basically this bee farming, that is for the basic purpose of pollination, because the pollination is going to benefit him in a certain way, in an indirect way, right? So the pollination is indirectly giving him the mood and the extra yield and the better quality, right? Also, when we talk about the bee venom, which is very frequently used in our medical purposes. So bee venom is also a product. The propolis, which is used as a glue in the industries, that will also be used. So people should know that it is not only about the honey. Of course, honey is giving them the direct yield, but there are many other things which we can from which we can utilize our income, and we can gain more income, and we can utilize our apiary in a better way. So this is not only about the honey only, right?
Okay, I'll move on to the next question. Can you let us know what made you take an interest in apiculture?
Okay. Right. So actually, I was doing my bachelor's in the field of horticulture, and in the one of the course was about apiculture only, right? So we learned many new things in the apiculture. After that, what happened was, in the fourth year we have experience learning program, in which we have the choice to learn about new and new avenues and new streams. So I was very interested about apiculture because I wanted to know how honey is extracted, how we can hunt honey. Even once we tried to hunt the honey of apis dorsata, which is a wild bee, because we had migrated our colonies to some location where there was a hive of that apis dorsata. Apis dorsata is such a large bee that we were first of all we were very scared to do that. But after that, what we did was, we wore two jackets and we covered ourselves fully. And we had smokers, but smokers are too small to hunt the honey. So what we did was, we took the gunny bags, the cloth bags, and then we burnt them so that there could be a lot of smoke, and honeybees could move from that, and we can easily cut the that comb basically, and we can hunt the honey. So there were many more things which were creating interest in me to take that stream and to know more and more about that. So definitely these all things led me interest in the beekeeping, and I basically practiced about beekeeping for almost 1.5 years. So I was very happy to know about honeybees, how they work, and what kind of social organization they have, how do they communicate, or what to do in case of emergency things. So that was very interesting.
Okay, that's very nice to hear. I'll move on to the next question. What is the minimum requirement if someone intends to start rearing honeybees?
Okay, so the minimum requirement is, I should tell you that you must start with 1 or 2 boxes in the starting, so that you do have an idea that how to maintain the box, right? So the minimum requirement is basically you should have that beehive, that box, certain frames, and obviously the honeybee colonies, rather I should say. So you can procure it from somewhere, and then you can start your bee colonies in a place, and then you should increase the number after gain some experience, and after you get to know about their work or how to maintain them. Only after that you should start. So the minimum requirement is stand and that box and the colony, that's it, and a bee flora nearby, that's it. So it is not about a major investment. You can do it in a very economical manner also.
Okay, I'll move on to the next question. How long does it take to harvest honey once everything is set up?
Well, uh, when we talk, it depends on the regions. Basically, I'm from Himachal, so I know about here. So the spring season, the basically the honey flow season that occurs here is from March to April. You can harvest honey from March to April only. But in certain regions, the honey is also harvested 2 times in a year. But it depends on the bee flora, on the regions. So here the honey is harvested only once, right? And it is not about that once you have set up everything and you can leave the colonies and you can have fun. It's not like that. You have to work with them throughout the year.
Okay. The next question is, what guidelines would you suggest for a person who wants to venture into the honey business?
Okay. First thing is, know about your locality. I'm saying it again and again, know about your locality. There should be a sunny location, the very first thing. Second thing is, you should know about the bee flora. You should know the flowers and the crops that are present in your region. Third thing is, you should have the knowledge about the pesticides that are sprayed and the timings of the pesticides when these pesticides are sprayed. Because once pesticides are sprayed, and suppose you are letting your colony go over there, the bees they'll die, right? And the fourth thing is, you should have some expert person, or you should have supervision of that person who is going to tell you that what kind of health your honeybees are actually having. So you should know about all these factors. And also, as I told you about the certain basic things that do not go with the perfume, always use the light colored clothes or the white colored clothes. Always wear the fully covered clothes, and the bottom of your pajamas, they should also be tight so that honeybees do not enter in your body, right? So these are, and you should have the proper shoes and the gloves and also the bee veil. So you should have kind of proper.
Ms. Priyanka, are you connected?
Sorry for the network issue.
Yeah, you can proceed.
Yeah, ma'am. So next query, please.
You finished that one, huh? What you were speaking?
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so
Okay.
much, everyone.
We have one more comment, a comment from one of our participants. I'll just read it out. A very informative session. We wish you success in all your ventures. Okay, there
Thank
are
you so
no
much.
further questions. We have now completed the round of questions. On behalf of agricultureinformation.com, we would like to thank Ms. Priyanka Bhardwaj for the talk and for answering the questions. I like to also thank all the participants in the meeting. This meeting will now be closed.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.